Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm delighted to have with me Manchester's finest, the notorious Mr. Pat Barrett. Pat, how are we doing?
I'm very good. First of all, big shout out to my man Coogan. Big up. You got your green card finally. You can enter Manchester. You don't need to look over your back no more, Coogan. I got your back. Yeah.
What about my green card?
Oh, you're alive here now.
Pat, it's been a frustrating 18 months for everyone at most, for most part of the last 18 months. Glad to bring back small hall boxing back to Manchester. Finally, it's been way overdue.
You know what it is? I mean, considering we're the first show after the lockdown, still have to do the little bits with the COVID, the bubble and all that lot. But you know what? I was so glad to see my lads, after being in lockdown for so long, to get out there and look so good and look so sharp and give a great night of boxing. I mean, that everybody enjoyed it, including myself. I spent that long with them in the gym that I'm really forgetting how good I've made these kids. I mean, watching them all today was absolutely, you wouldn't think it was all having the debuts.
Apart from the training that you do with all the kids, as you say, but the fighters, was it also challenging to keep some of them or any of them motivated, because they didn't know when they were going to get out next week? They didn't know when things are going to ease down and they're going to get on a show.
Do you know what, to be quite honest with you, no. Because once they asked me a question and they believed in what I said, then it was no question about it that they believed it. I sold them something and they believed it. They knew that it was going to happen.
Obviously, I know I've spoke to some of them. Some of them are absolutely thrilled to being out today. A lot of them are hoping to get out quite quickly. But you've got back-to-back shows next week in Liverpool, which is a cracker, and then out in Oldham the week after.
Yeah. And then September the 4th again in Liverpool. And then we'd also take it to Newcastle in the very near future. We've got something going up there now. So yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to just keep this thing going on.
What challenges are you going to have now? You've had, I think, 8 fights tonight. I think 4 of them were debuts. Everyone I spoke to said, we want to get out quick. We're going to be knocking on Pat's door tomorrow or Monday morning and say, get us a date quickly. How much of a challenge is that for you going to be?
You know what it is? I like to go back into the gym first and we work over the things that I've seen that I would like to work out. See, these fighters ain't going to be knocking on my door and telling me when we're fighting. I'll be knocking on their door telling them when they're fighting, because right about now my aim is to keep them busy and to keep them very active on all the events that I've got. And it's not just the Manchester events. I'm putting them in Liverpool, I'm putting them in Newcastle. I don't want them to just get used to being here. I want to start off by building the following up on their own doorstep, but it's sooner or later the Newcastle show is going to be planned, and I'm going to take them all to Newcastle so they can get people to get coaches and travel. And that's it really.
Anyone impress you tonight?
They all impress me.
Any standouts?
No, I've never said that. There was everybody, even the fighters that came on the show that are working on the Black Flash motions, everybody impressed me. Even the last fight, CJ Challenger. I mean, CJ Challenger's been out the ring for 2 years. I mean, and to see him back in the ring on such a small little show, it just looked natural, you know what I mean? You know, there's still a little bits. I mean, I'd hope to get him another 4 fights and then look to do something with a major.
What are the key attributes that you look for in taking young fighters? A lot of people are going to look at you. You've been very successful for many years, decades. Obviously, people will look at Lyndon Arthur's great victory, but from where you've brought Lyndon to where he is now. But what do you look for in young fighters when taking them on? Because I'm sure there's a lot of them knocking on your door.
You know what? It's if I could not move a fighter and motivate a fighter in the gym, I wouldn't take him in a fight. Because if I can't do it in the gym, I definitely will be able to do it in the fight. And the aim of the game for me is to be able to motivate my fighters and make them be able to change through gears. And the way I test them is in training. The training that I give them is more mental. And I see when they're falling apart and they're so tired, the body is telling the mind that they're tired. When really, it's the mindset should be controlling the body. And if they can't take that to the next level and motivate themselves, then that's when I'll say, they're not going to make it. Because if you can't give it that extra bit of determination to get up off the floor and go, then it's not the game for you. Because the mind is a really powerful thing in boxing. And some people just don't realize it. They train the body. I don't. Yeah. See, conditioning to me is something that you have to do standardly. So it's a mind thing. Like, when you ask me a question, who did I find outstanding the most? I'll tell you now, Conor Burton. Because Conor Burton turned pro with me. And the mindset with Conor Burton was kind of like, but the way his attitude has changed over the time, and I've watched him, and he threw it down to me, goes, Pat, what do I do? And I said, listen, Tommy, you have to work on yourself. And the way it is, Conor, here he is, come here, let me bring him in a minute. I know you probably had a chat with him before, but come here a minute. There's a question, what did I tell to you a long time ago when I said your problem was where?
Mine?
Yeah, and his own belief. He would get caught with shots and sparring, and it would kind of make him switch off and not perform as good. Yeah, and this kid has got so much skill, so much talent. He's got bags of heat, and there's loads to come from him yet. But I will not push him till I think he's ready. I will not put him in a 6-round fight because he needs to be able to concentrate for 6 rounds. He's come 10 times better now that in the next fight or two, I'm going to take him to a 6-round fight because he's ready for 6 rounds now. Because his mind from the 8s in every round and the way he listens, sometimes it's a little bit ego, but that's minor. He's got so much talent, and I'm so proud of this one because considering I've never had him from a kid or never had him from day dot, but he turned pro with me. He's been with me from day one because he's changed in every way. The way he gives 100% in the gym, the way he gives 100% on the road work, sprints, the way his attitude is. There we go.
You talk about you don't want to push them until they're ready, but the dynamics of boxing have changed over the last 7-8 years. Social media plays a key part in matchmaking, in people demanding fighters to take big fights. Our fighters like Conor and the rest of the stable that you have, the young fighters, they look at social media, they look at the pressure from fans. Do you tell them, listen, get off that, ignore that stuff, focus what I have to tell you?
These guys are not going to be on social media because when that social media kicks into this, they're no good. The damaged fighters. People are just like, you can use social media to promote yourself, to sell your tickets, and to do what you can do in it. But when you let it, all these likes and this and that, and you let it overrun you, then it's, like you said, it's good for one thing, and it's just how you use it. You don't let social media control you, you control your social media. And that's the difference with him. As long as they listen to me, and they don't be like these social media wallies that posting things out every day, then fair enough. And we keep it where I keep my fighters like me. He's going to be like a fighter from 30, 40, 60 years ago. He's going to have that same mindset because I'm reinventing him to be old school mentality, not new school mentality. Yeah. And the more he adapts to that, the better his performance is. Look what he did today to that kid. No one doesn't do that to that kid. He nearly, if it would have been the patient, had him out of there. And it would have been the first time that someone's done that. This kid ain't even a super featherweight. He's a super bantam. Yeah. But me, I'm keeping that super featherweight just to get the fights and the experience. I don't want to knock people out. I want to learn. When I put him as a super featherweight, as a super bantamweight, then you'll start seeing the knockouts. This is one of the hardest hitting super bantamweights that's ever boxed in boxing, and you ain't even seen it yet because he's boxing a weight above what he would be doing. What 2 weights above?
I think it's just a weight above me. He came in heavy anyway, didn't he? I came
so when he's boxing super featherweight, he's not a super featherweight. Or boxing featherweight, he's not a featherweight. Yeah, he's a super bantamweight. And there's a lot more to come from him because I just want him to get the experience. I want him to get 15-0 before he even look for the title for him. And then he can fight for the title then.
I know you're referring to like an English title or a British title.
No, and then I would refer to an English title. Yeah, right? Because I would let him win. No, I'm going to a Central Area title, then an English title. Because there's not no rush to put him in title fight. Because once he's got his stamp, I'm quite confident that I can put him in with anybody after a bit because he's learnt the game again. Like Zelfa, like Lyndon, from the bottom.
And I understand that mindset, but you look at someone like Joe Joyce who had a long amateur career. All the best, Conor. A long amateur career, and obviously learnt his craft in the amateur ranks and brought that into the professional game. You look at someone like Canelo, who built his 30, 35-0, same with Deontay Wilder. But these young fighters are going to look at people now like Josh Taylor, 18 fights undisputed, Lawrence Coley, 14, 15 fights world champion. Is that pressure on them when they look at those types of fighters and say, that's what I want, coach?
Let me answer that. Look at me. I started my career as a journeyman to make success. A journeyman to make success. Yeah. So if I can do it, I just go off from what I know. I don't watch nothing else and nobody else. I go off how my trainer created a career for me from the bottom. That's what I look at. To me, and that's the way it's got to be. I don't look at it any other way, because when you do look at it any other way, then it becomes different.
Pat, I'll end with this. Lyndon Arthur obviously was out earlier this month, got the victory, which was the key thing. Arthur-Yarde is out end of August. Is that the fight that's likely going to be next?
Yeah, why not? Really and truly, he's learning the game, and he's, like I said, now he's defending his WBO. It's a different thing before the world title. And if you can't beat the Lyndon Arthur, then you're not ready. If you can't beat for Lyndon Arthur, you can't beat the Arthur-Yarde, then it's like you're saying you're not ready for the world title fight. Yeah, I mean he beat an undefeated fighter in his last fight, and he stopped him. And he beat Arthur-Yarde with one hand last time, yeah, defending his Commonwealth to win the WBO, and he outboxed him, yeah. And you ask, what can Lyndon do differently now? Lyndon can do a lot of things differently now because he's got a lot of learning to do, and he'll keep learning. So I mean, because this is where it all starts from.
You did beat Arthur-Yarde, but I know you say that if you can't beat Arthur-Yarde, you're not ready for world level, but you've already beaten Arthur-Yarde. As his coach, do you want him to look beyond Arthur-Yarde, or do you want that rematch?
I don't want to look beyond anything, because it's like I said, Arthur-Yarde could win a world title, or it could be a world title eliminator, or we would have to fight him anyway. We don't look past nobody. People that look past people come on stuff. They look past us that we caught up to them. It was the tortoise and the hare story, and once we caught up, and they had to fight us, they had to come back down and go right down past us and then stop there. So now we're here, so they had to take the fight for us. And the fight wasn't about us, it was about Arthur-Yarde. We was the ones that was being used as a stepping stone to bring Arthur-Yarde back into boxing. But it was a mismatch, yeah? And it will be a mismatch again, not because what can Lyndon do? I know Lyndon, and I know how he is, and if he can do that on a low level with somebody like David Ferrazzi, it kind of reminded me about when he was in the Spellman fight. Lyndon just played and practiced things and worked on things, and then when it made him look like, oh, I beat Lyndon Arthur, and then for the Yarde fight, boom, stepped up. So people like Arthur-Yarde, who I respect as a fighter, who's dangerous, who's courageous, who's had so many knockouts, I don't write him off. Yeah, I don't say anything, but all I know is I prepared for him from day one, and I've never stopped preparing for him, and I've never stopped preparing for this rematch, because even though I say I don't want the rematch, I know the rematch was going to be made. I knew it was going to be made, because when everything's against you, you don't have no choice but to do something again, and you don't do it with you do it with the point that you need to make a point, and what Arthur-Yarde needs to do, he needs to make a point. So I know how it's going to be. He can't outbox Lyndon, so the way he's got to come, you've got to come one way. One way is one dimensional, and that one dimensional is going to try and walk through something that you couldn't do before.
Well, we look forward to it when the announcement is made, if it's made in the coming weeks. Pat, any final comments before we end?
No, I just had a great show. I've got the next generation coming through. I feel great. I've had 4 fights, 4 wins, and a great night.
Pat Barrett, IFL TV, thank you very much.